Hello, welcome to Code with Vijay. My name is Vishwanathan. I'm working as a senior software engineer. This is my personal blog, codewithvijay.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, GitHub, and Twitter as well. So today we'll see, or I'll show a hands-on lab on CloudFront. If you're new to CloudFront, please go and watch my introduction video on CloudFront. I have explained the way CloudFront works or what CloudFront means and the key terminologies that you should know before proceeding further. So please go and watch that before proceeding further. If you have subscribed to my channel, you can see a video here, introduction to AWS CloudFront. So that will give a very good introduction on CloudFront. Okay. Now let me jump into AWS console and I'll show how to set up a CloudFront. I have logged into my AWS console. If you come down further in AWS service under networking and content delivery, you can see CloudFront. When you click on that, it will take you to CloudFront setup page. So we can create a distribution here. So before proceeding further, let me show my origin, that is my S3 bucket, which I have created in a different geography. At present I'm in London and I've created a bucket in Australia. You can see that bucket here, Code with Vijay Australia, and the location is Sydney. Also I've uploaded a file in that bucket. You can see here that's basically a JPEG file, and when you click on that you can see that image here. Okay, so basically that image is in the bucket, and the bucket origin is in Sydney. Okay, so whenever I'm trying to access my bucket or the file in that bucket, my location is in London, and it will take data from the origin, which is in Sydney. It means it have to travel all the way, maybe under cables, through cables under the sea, and if the file size is high or the network speed is low, then the latency will be pretty high to get that data back. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create edge locations on that bucket. Okay, so after I create edge locations, or after I configure edge locations, then the first access, it will still get data from the origin, which is in Sydney. Thereafter, along with that, it will cache the data in edge locations. Okay, so any access after that, it will take data from the edge location which is near to my geography, instead of taking data from the origin, which is in Sydney. Okay, also I can mention time to leave. It means the data will be there in the edge location cache until that time expires. Okay, once the cache expires, then it will go and fetch the new data from origin again. Okay, that may be updated file or the old file itself. Okay, then after that it will cache again, and that data will be there in cache again until next time to leave. Okay, that's how it works. Okay, now let's see how we can set up CloudFront. Okay, let me go back to console home and CloudFront, create distribution. Okay, here you can see two different delivery method for my content. One is web and another one is RTMP. Okay, web distribution is basically for HTML file or CSS images, other kind of graphics files, etc. Okay, RTMP is basically for flash files. Okay, so the one I'm going to configure here is for web distribution. So I'm going to click get started here. It will take me to this page. You can see this whole bunch of fields to insert. Most of them are default fields. We can leave it default fields as such, because that will improve the caching. Okay, and against each field you can see information. Okay, so if you are not clear with any of the fields, you can click on information and you'll get information on that. Okay, So the first one is origin domain name. Okay, so if you have seen the introduction video on CloudFront, then obviously you will know what origin means. Okay, origin means where the file is. Okay, in my case that is an S3 bucket, and my file is in in that S3 bucket. Okay, so my origin will be the bucket which I have created in Sydney location. So when I click on that, it will display all buckets. Okay, so the one I want to select is code with Vijay australia.s3.amazon.aws.com. okay, that is my origin. Okay, next field is origin path. Okay, in that, if you want to, instead of the whole bucket, or instead of selecting the root, if you want to select any subfolders inside that bucket, then you can mention that path here. I'm leaving it as blank because I want to select the root bucket, okay, instead of any subfolders. Origin ID, that's another name. One important thing you should remember is we can have multiple origins. Okay, and if we have multiple origins, we can configure that origin here. Okay, at present I have only one origin, so because of that I'm leaving the one which is default, which is created by default. Okay. Next one is restrict bucket access. Okay, if you want to restrict the bucket access from its users, we can do that. When we click on S, we'll get another option, origin access identity. So either we can use an existing identity, or we can create one new. Okay, as I don't have any existing identity, I'm going to select create a new identity. So that's settings. Okay, now when you come here, we can grant a read permission. Okay, say in your bucket you don't the bucket you have created which doesn't have read permissions, then we can update it here. So I'm going to mention yes, update bucket policy. If you want to update permission, we can do it on your own by by going to the bucket. You can do that here. Okay, next one is origin custom headers. Don't worry much about that. I'm going to leave it blank. Next one is path pattern. By default, that is this is actually a regular expression, by default star, but you can modify here. Say if you want to mention a path like star.pdf, okay, then it will take all the PDF, okay, or it will cache all that one. Okay, that's the cache behavior settings. Okay, next one is viewer protocol policy. Okay, so which protocol we want that edge location URL to be. Okay, either we can select HTTP or HTTPS. Okay, or we can make user to redirect from HTTP to HTTPS. Okay, if you guys are aware about bit security side or SSL, then to redirect from HTTP to HTTPS will have integrity problem. Anyway, I'm not going to explain that all that security things here. That is not the scope of this session. Anyway, so we will have one option like redirect from HTTP to HTTPS, okay, or HTTPS only, that is pure SSL, okay, or TLS. So I'm going to select redirect redirect HTTP to HTTPS, okay, and there are multiple HTTP methods we can allow, either get head or get head options, or get head options put post patch delete. Okay, so I'm going to select this one, so it will have all the permission of get head options put post patch or delete. Okay, when I select this one, I can by default say when I'm selecting just get and head, we can see get and head cache, that will cache by default. Okay, when I select any one of these, we can see options is not by default, but if I want to include that, then I can select that as well. Okay, let me click on this one. I'm not going to select this, but next is forward headers. So I'm going to leave the default settings because it will improve caching. Okay, next is object caching. Okay, either we can use origin cache headers, or we can customize. Okay, if you are selecting customize, then we can mention time to leave. Okay, sorry, as I mentioned, time to leave means the time of, that cached content will be there in cache. Okay, cache will clear after it expires or after the cross time to leave. Okay, the default time to leave is 86,400 seconds. Okay, it means 24 hours. Okay. I'm not going to select that one. I'm going to leave the default one, that is use origin cache headers. Okay, and forward cookies, if you want to enable that, we can add that, but I'm going to leave all that default settings. Smooth streaming means, if you want to utilize Microsoft smooth streaming functionality, you can go for it. When you click on yes, it will start utilizing Microsoft so smooth streaming functionality. Okay, if you want more information on that, when you click, it will tell if you want to use Microsoft smooth streaming for on-demand streaming, click yes. Okay, so that's what it do. Next one is restrict viewer access. Okay, that's another important thing you should remember. Say you have uploaded files to an origin. Okay, in this case S3 bucket. Okay, you can have another origins as well, basically, maybe EC2 or elastic load balancer, like that. So in my case, that's an S3 bucket. Okay, say I have uploaded a file to S3 bucket, and if I want only authorized users to access that file but not everybody, then I can go with restricted user access. Okay, that will use a signed URL or signed cookies. Okay, if you want to enable that, click here. So if you restrict viewer access, viewers must use CloudFront signed URL or signed cookies to access your content. Okay, so basically that's how it works. Okay, I'm going to select that as no, because I else have to go and set up this one. Because of that, probably I'll cover that in another session. So for now, I'm going to select it as no. If you want to compress object automatically, you can go for that as well. And if you want to associate with any Lambda functions, you can do it here. I'm going to leave all that settings as a default, because the scope of this session is to set up a simple CloudFront. Okay, next is distribution settings. Okay, you can see here price class. Either they can go for edge locations in any of the selected locations, or I can go for all edge locations across the globe. As I've mentioned in my previous session, there are lot many edge locations around the globe. Okay, to improve performance, it will be good to use all edge locations. Okay, next one is AWS WAF Web ACL. Okay, WAF means Web Application Firewall. If you want to add a Web Application Firewall to your distribution, you can do that. I'm going to leave that as well default. And another one is alternate domain names. Say if you want to add your custom domain, instead of the one AWS creating it for you, you can go for that. But only thing is, if you're creating your custom domain name, then you need your own custom SSL certificate. You can see here custom SSL certificate, that is disabled. But if I go for something like code, say with which I dot say CloudFront.net, I can go for that, but the only thing is, then we need our own SSL certificate. So because of that, I'm going to leave it blank, and it will create URL on its own with random numbers and letters. You can see that here it will generate like this, and it will create the default certificate. Okay, so that is alternate domain names and SSL certificate. And when you come down further, you can see multiple HTTP versions, HTTP 2, 1.1, 1.0, etc, etc, etc. I'm going to leave the default selected one, that is HTTP/2. And next one is default root object. So default root object means what's the default object it should return. Say for example, when you type, for example, say www.codewithvijay.com. So when you type that URL, you can mention a default object that should return when when users type that URL. Say when you type codewithvijay.com, the default object returning, maybe I can set it up like say www.codewithvijay.com / mypicture.jpg. Okay, it means the default object that will return is mypicture.jpg. So that's what default root object means. Okay, you can enable logging here. When you click on logging, then you can mention which bucket you want your logs to be. Okay, I can say probably I can configure another bucket just for logging purpose alone, and I can enable logging, and when a log writes, it will write to that bucket. Okay, and I can enable cookies as well for logging. I'm going to turn it off for now. Okay, if you want to enable IPv6, you can go for that as well. And if you want to give any comments, you can give that. That's completely optional. And next one is distribution state. By default that is enabled. So distribution state means when the distribution is enabled, CloudFront process viewers request for the content associated with this distribution. When the distribution is disabled, CloudFront does not accept any request for the content associated with this distribution. Okay, so if you want to get the content associated with distribution, then you have to enable it. Okay, that is distribution state means before create distribution, I want to explain one more thing which I've already explained, but I want to explain it a bit detail. That is restrict bucket access. Okay, so what restrict bucket access really means, say if you want your users to use only your CloudFront URL or the edge location URL, not the S3 URL, then that's what this restrict bucket access will do. Okay, if we read the explanation, say if you want to require that users always access your Amazon S3 content using CloudFront URL, it means that restriction means always use CloudFront URL, not Amazon S3 URL. Okay, that's what this restrict bucket does. Okay, anyway, let me come down further. So now all my settings is ready. When I click create distribution list, okay, you can see here message using CloudFront to serve private content. Okay, now let me go back to the distribution that is here. When you click on distribution, you can see that is in process. It means that distribution is going on. You can see URL, that's a domain name, that is this thing, this has been created by default, and the origin is this one, codewithvijay.s3.amazonaws.com. okay, and this is the ID created. It will take some time to enable that. Okay, now you can see the status that has been deployed. Okay, and this is the domain name which is created, as I haven't given any comment, that is blank, and as I haven't given any CNAMEs, that as well blank. It will show the last modified date and time as well. Okay, now let me copy this URL. Okay, let me go to the S3 bucket here, and my bucket that is in Australia. Let me click on that image. When I click on that one, it will still load from Australia, but let me give the distribution which has created just now instead of this URL. Okay, when I give that and press enter, you can see that image has been loaded, but this time that is loaded from the distribution, not from the origin, or I mean it's not from the Sydney bucket. Okay, you can see when I click again, it is loading pretty fast. Okay, let me copy this URL again here. When I give it here, you can see that has been loaded pretty fast. Okay, so let me go back. Let me go back to Okay, now let me go back to the distribution. Okay, in distribution you can see when I select this one, distribution settings. Okay, these are the general information about the distribution. If you want to add multiple origins, we can do that here with create origin. And if you want to create any other behavior, we can do all that settings here. We can set up an error page. If any error happen, we can create custom error response for that one by clicking, by setting it up here. And if you want to give any other restrictions like geographical restrictions, we can do that here. When we click and edit that one, we can enable geographical locations. Basically we can add whitelist and blacklist of countries which I want to set up any restrictions. Okay, if you don't want to include a specific country or if you want to restrict specific countries, you can add that here by selecting blacklisting. You can do it here, or you can select if you want only certain countries, we can add only certain countries to get the data. Then you can add only that countries in whitelist, remaining all countries will by default go to blacklist. We can do all that settings here. Okay, I'm not going to do anything now. If you want, you can do that. It's pretty simple. Just select the country and add it to white or blacklist. Okay, let me cancel it. That is restrictions, and there are many other couple of other settings as well. We can go each one of that, and you can set up all those according to your need. Okay, so that is pretty much in a high level on how to set up a CloudFront. And the CloudFront setup page itself, it has a lot of information. And while setting up, you can if something is not very clear, you can either reach out to me, and or you can read the help text which is already there against each fields. They'll have pretty good explanation on what each field really do. You can read that, and you can set up your distribution accordingly, your CloudFront accordingly. That is pretty much in a very high level. Thanks for watching, guys. And the most important thing, please don't forget to subscribe my channel. Whenever I upload new videos, you'll get alert. So please don't forget to subscribe. Have a good day. Thank you.